Hi there and welcome to Thursdays with Annette. I'm sorry there's been confusion, but Telstra is messing everybody around with the Wi-Fi and the internet. So I've decided from today, because I'm a bit sick of this, we're going to pre-record the Thursday shows. I'm going to do it every Thursday morning and post it at 2 o'clock. And that way we know you're going to get quality cooking classes with me every Thursday. And it'll be like live anyway because it'll go on straight on at 2 o'clock. Okay, so what are we making today? Well, it's crunchy nut chicken. It's out of book 2. And this is the recipe here. It's a great recipe and it's just a little bit different from a schnitzel. And so that's what we're making today. So I'm looking forward to making that for you. But before we get into it, let's talk about last week's show where we did the minestrone soup from book 1. And the 3 lucky winners was Ingrid Wilson, Denise Ferguson and Helen Spencer. They all won a personally signed copy of book 1. And hello to everybody in lockdown. My heart goes out to you all. I know my daughter in Sydney is struggling a little bit with her young family. I mean, you know, no one was taught to be a teacher that isn't a teacher, but we're thinking of you. We're out of lockdown right now, but who knows what it could be tomorrow. All right, so let's look at the recipe. First of all, we need to preheat the oven to 180 degrees. That's right, this is a baked schnitzel, if you want to call it. It's not deep fried because that's so much higher in fat, and this is a very smart, clever way to really get a delicious, crunchy schnitzel. All right, so we need cornflakes. Now, we want 2 cups. And did you know that cornflake, even though it's corn, but cornflakes actually do have gluten in them, in whatever they do when they make them. So you can get gluten-free cornflakes if you have that concern. So 2 cups of that. We've got the raw macadamia nuts, because you don't want them salted or anything like that. And it's a third of a cup, or it's 40 grams if you want to weigh it. We've got some chicken stock powder. Here's our chicken here. You want 2 breasts, 250 grams each, because they're so big now. I mean, it used to be back in the day when I wrote this for a book, it was 4 little chicken breasts and it was fantastic, but we had to change it. And I'll show you how to do that and make it perfect for 4 people, because this serves 4. We've also got a 1/4 cup of skim milk and 1 egg. We're going to use the egg white cooking spray. I've got my tray over here. I've got a couple of plates to do the crumbing, and I've got my mallet because we're going to be bashing it down. Okay, so let's start with the cornflakes. Okay, so thanks for joining me today. If you're just tuning in, it is a crunchy nut chicken out of book 2. All right, so let's put the cornflakes in the bag. All right. And I'm just going to take the air out. And this is where you get your mallet or your rolling pin. That would work just as well. The smooth end, not the rough end, because it'll break the plastic. And I want you just to crush. And if you're looking at making less noise in the kitchen, notice I've got my tea towel under my chopping board. And that really does soften the noisy banging that you're going to be doing in this cooking recipe, this chicken recipe. So you want to do it fairly fine because you need to coat 4 chicken breasts. I'm just going to shake it and just check it, make sure I've got all the bigger bits. You want it to be fairly fine. That's looking great. All right, so I'm just going to put this to the side because now I'm going to do the macadamias. Now, as I said, they're not salted, they're raw, and you just chop them. Now, the better you chop them, the more you spread the love with this recipe, because you want those bits of nut in each of them. And if you really have a problem with nuts, then you can actually just not put the nuts in it, okay? Just put maybe 1/2 cup of cornflakes extra into the recipe. Or if you just think, oh, I like nuts, but I'm not a macadamia fan, then you could easily just swap for any nut you like. I think that all work, just as long as they're raw. And macadamias are a little bit harder to cut sometimes than others because they're round. They move around a bit. And this is an old recipe. This is from book 2, and I used to make this for years. The kids loved it, and it was just something different, I think, with the cornflake idea. And the great thing is the fat count is pretty damn good, I tell you, because even with all these macadamia nuts, which, you know, obviously they have fat in them, but they're healthy fats, it's 9.8 grams of fat per chicken breast. But if you took out the macadamia nuts and just had it as the cornflakes, it actually drops right down to only 2.2 grams of fat per chicken piece. That's looking pretty good now. I think I'm happy with that. Okay, so now I'm going to put it in the bag. And I've used the zip one because these little ones here, which I'm going to use for, you know, bashing the chicken down, are a bit weak. And so I want, you know, when I'm using the chicken, the cornflakes, I wanted a stronger bag. But of course, just use what you have. Okay, put all the nuts in. And then all we have to do is put half a teaspoon of the stock powder into the mix. So half a teaspoon. There we go. And our crumb is ready. Okay. What you do now, once again, take the air out and just give it a shake. That's it. Mix it all up. That's it. It looks great because you get all the bits of the macadamia nut through it as well. And then on a plate, pour the crumbs. There we go. Fantastic. All right, so that's ready for crumbing. Now we have to get the chicken ready. So what we're going to do is we're going to use 1 egg white and the 1/4 cup of milk, and that's what we're going to dip the chicken in. And I will do the chicken for you in a minute. In that goes. I've got a little whisk here, which is always handy, or you use a fork. And this way you're going to have this for dipping. Thanks for joining me. Hello. I'm sorry, we're pre-recording from now on. I can't do this with Telstra anymore. We've had some issues over the time, haven't we, over the years, and I've just decided it's just not worth it. I will record every Thursday morning for you and come on at 2 o'clock. It'll be posted at 2 o'clock. So please still give me your comments because I'll be watching. All right, we're going to now put the egg mix onto the other plate. And we can get rid of this. I've got a knife. I'll use another knife for the chicken. I might just turn that over so it's nice and clean. Now what I did was I actually did 1 breast ahead because I didn't want to take too long. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my gloves on because I find that works better when I'm crumbing. And I've got some of the little plastic bags and I'm going to use that to divide the chicken. All right, so let's move that in the bin. So what you do is you put a piece of the plastic down. Here's one of the chicken breasts, and I'm going to put it on, and then what I'll show you in a minute is I do that. But first of all, a tip for you when it comes to doing this type of thing. See this end where it's like quite bulbous and this is quite thin. Like if I'm going to be bashing that down, that's going to be a lot of work. So what I'm going to do is this side would be the right side. I'm just checking, Bill's looking at me. And I'm going to open it up. Just so we get a little bit more of the chicken. See how I've opened that up? Now we're going to put the bag over and back to the mallet. You want the chicken to double in size because out of each breast you're going to get 4 serves. is good for anyone in lockdown and they're feeling a bit angst. This might be a perfect way to release stress. Just have a look at it and see how even it is. That's looking pretty good. All right. Now, don't worry if it sort of breaks up a little bit, because it will do that sometimes because you're giving it a good mallet. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's look at this. How would I cut this? I think I'm going to do that. There we go. So there's our 2 pieces. All right, so what we do now is spray a tray, get it all ready, give it a good coating. Move that little book out of the way. I'm so glad you're joining me today, because this is such a great recipe, and I really think if you haven't tried it, you're really missing out, because it's super fabulous. All right, so now what we do is you dip it into the milky the yolk. What is it? Egg white. Do it about 3 times, like really move it around, get it in, and then into the crumbs. Press it down so that side gets coated, and then the top. There we go. That's looking great. Put that on the tray. Let's get the second one. And you just do this for the 4 chicken breasts. I mean, I'm sorry, this is a little bit fabulous. Crunchy nut chicken. Kids love it, because I mean, they love cornflakes for a start. And so it's kind of a breakfast chicken. Check the back. Yep, that's coated well. Place that down there. All right, so we've got 2 more pieces here, so let's get those done. And remember, the oven is preheated to 180 degrees, fan force. Just move that along. And if you have any left over at the end, you can always add more to the chicken. So remember that. Pressing down so the other side gets done as well. That's looking fabulous. 1 more to go. See, it's not hard, is it? You could actually swap this even and do pork, the schnitzels. That would be nice. All right, I want that base there to have some, so I'm going to push that into it. And then the last one's always a little bit more challenging because you're getting very low with your flakes. So just push that in. That side's great. So I'm just going to move this all forward because the other side's looking great, and just coat. Look, you can see the bits of macadamia nut. Isn't it fabulous? See the little white bits? That's looking great. Over we go. Now, I'm just going to, because I like to use all of it, I'm going to check if there's any areas that could do with a little bit more of the coating. Press it down. Now remember, the oven's preheated to 180 degrees, and all you've got to do now is give the tops a coating of cooking spray, and in we go. About 25 minutes will do the job, and you're going to get a beautiful piece of chicken, crunchy and fabulous. Check your oven. 25 to 30 minutes is how long it takes. All right, so let me just clear my bench, because I've made it, and to make it easy for you, I've actually made one ahead, and that way you can see how fantastic it looks after it's been in the oven. And by doing it in the oven, it just seems to really crisp up the coating really well. In the soapy sink. All right. So let's have a look at my pre-done, let's move out of the way, crunchy nut chicken. Look at that, isn't that fantastic? I've got a salad. This is a beautiful lunch or dinner. You could serve it with vegetables or salad, up to you. And maybe while the oven's on, you might even throw in some rosemary potatoes from book 4, because they're always fantastic to have when the oven's on as well. So remember, this is 9.8 grams of fat per serve, or if you take the nuts out, it's 2.2. So if you'd like to win a copy of book 2, this is the book, Here it is. That's it. You've just got to like, share, and in the comments, hashtag simply too good, and I'll pick 3 fantastic people. Even if we're not going live, it doesn't matter. Everything will be the same. I'll be checking everybody and picking a winner each week from all the comments that you put in. So don't forget to write something in there. But look, also, yes, if you watched the show last week, I am writing a new cookbook. Bit busy, fabulous, excited. It's going to be more cooking for 1 or 2 because everyone's been asking for more. And I wonder if you've got a great story to share, because I'm out looking at the moment for some fantastic testimonials to include in this book. And if you get selected, then you get a free book, Percy signed, before it's the release date. So please, if you have got a story to tell, love to hear it, because the reason the testimonials are there is because I want to motivate and excite other people that may be struggling. It's about, you know, believing in the journey, and you can show them how you've done it. So if you have got anything to share, go to admin@simplytoogood.com.au. That's admin@symplytoogood.com.au. Okay, so what am I making next week on Thursday? Well, get excited because we're baking, and it's one of the old favourites I used to make when the kids were young, and I still make it and love it. Billy loves it too. It's the raspberry coconut slice out of book 4. Oh my gosh, it is fabulous. So don't forget to join me. The video will go up at 2 o'clock. So don't forget to join me every Thursday. Look forward to seeing you. And if you want any more tips or recipes, you know to go to simplytoogood.com.au. And here we go, crunchy nut chicken. Who knew? Weight loss could be so deliciously healthy. Take care, and I'll see you next week.